right, 930 students. Today we are moving on to solving and graphing inequalities. This is 1.9, day 1. Okay, so our warm-up says to name a solution represented by the number line. And then we're going to talk about the different symbols. So our first number line, we have a -7. It has a closed circle and it is shaded to the right. So any solution could be anything that is to the right of 7. So we could have 8, 9, 10, etc., etc. We could also have 7 because that filled in circle shows that the 7 is being included. For our second one, we have a -5, and this is an open circle, which means that 5 cannot be a solution, but anything to the left could be. So we could have -6, -7, -8, so on and so forth. Let's talk about our symbols. We are going to read our symbols from left to right. So for example, if I had X on the left of this symbol, it would be X is less than. Right, X is less than, and we could put a 7 in there. If I had X here, it would be X is greater than. And then finally, we would have our less than or equal to and our greater than or equal to. I apologize for my writing. I'm going to go ahead and type these. So just give me a second. Okay, so I went ahead and typed those out so you could see it a bit better. So again, we have our less than symbol, we have our greater than symbol, our less than or equal to. So if it has that line underneath, that means it's equal to, and the numbers are being included. And then finally, we have our greater than or equal to symbol. Again, that line underneath shows that it is included and equaling a number. So our steps for solving inequalities. If needed, you must use the distributive property first. So that's always our first idea when we're solving equations. After that, we will combine like terms if we can. Again, get our variable on one side, and then the last step is to solve for the variable using inverse operations. So it's just like when we're solving equations, the only difference is our symbol is an inequality instead of an equal sign. At the bottom here, you have this very, very important notice. It says that if you're multiplying or dividing both sides of your inequality by a negative, you must flip the inequality symbol. All right, so number 1, I have -51 is less than or equal to 6p minus 9. I'm going to solve this using my inverse operations. There's no distributing first, so the first thing we're going to do is add 9 to both sides. -51 plus 9 will give us -42. And I'll bring everything down, my less than or equal to 6p. So I'm going to start solving it just like any normal equation. Only difference is I have this symbol. My last step then to solve would be to divide by 6. -42 divided by 6 would give us -7. So -7 is less than or equal to p. That would be my final answer. I could go ahead and flip it around to rewrite it as p is greater than or equal to -7. These are both correct. So it's up to you. The important thing is to remember to make sure that the inequality is opening up to the correct sign if you do flip it. So when I flipped this, I made sure that the inequality stayed opening up towards the p, right? So I made sure that it flipped along with the inequality. So from there, we would graph it. So let's go ahead and we're going to draw our own graph, our own number line. My -7 is the number that I am going to place in the middle, and then I'll put a number on the right of it. So we could do 0, and then on the left, we could do -14. My inequality tells me that it is equal to, so I'm going to fill in the circle. And it says that p is greater than. So I'm going to draw an arrow, and I'm going to shade to where p is greater than. So to the right in this case. So that is what the first one would look like. Number 2, let's start with our distributive. So -7 times 7r will give us -49r r minus 28, and it's less than or equal to 168. Now that we've distributed, let's start solving. So let's go ahead and add 28 to both sides. We should get negative 49r is less than or equal to 196. So let's go ahead and we're going to divide by negative 49. And right here is where I'm dividing by a negative. I have to flip my sign, okay? So since I'm dividing both sides by a negative 49, I have to make sure that I go ahead and I flip the sign. So now my r is greater than or equal to, all right? So I just flipped my sign, so do not forget that part. All right, and then from there, 196 divided by negative 49 gives us now negative 4. Draw our number line. We can put negative 4, 0, negative 8. It is a equal to, so I am going to fill in my circle, and r is greater than, so I'm going to shade to the right. That is what that problem would look like. All right, number 3. Okay, I'm going to keep everything on the left the same. Negative 7 minus 3n is less than or equal to, and then this is where I will distribute. So 2 times n will give me 2n, and 2 times negative 1 will give me minus 2. All right, so our goal here is to now get our variable on one side. So let's start by adding 7. And I have negative 3n is less than or equal to 2n plus 5. Now let's subtract our 2n. Negative 5n is less than or equal to 5. And now we will divide by the negative 5 to get n alone. N is less than or equal to negative 1. Oh, but what happened? I divided by a negative, so I need to flip my sign. So it should be n is greater than or equal to negative 1. So let's go ahead and graph it. Close circle, shade to the right. All of these are greater thans, so make sure, if you are graphing a less than, that you would shade to the left. We'll practice, I think the next one should be good. But just keep track of if you are multiplying or dividing by a negative, that you do flip that sign. We still solve it the same way we solved all of our other problems, right? We just use inverse operations. So starting number 4, let's start by distributing. Negative 8 times 4 will give us negative 32n minus 32 is greater than negative 5n plus 22. Okay, so let's go ahead and, what do we say? We add 32 to both sides. Let's get rid of that. And now we're left with negative 32n is greater than negative 5n plus 32 plus 22 will give us 54. Okay, let's add our 5n. Now I have negative 27n is greater than 54. Okay, last step. Let's divide by negative 27. Divide by negative 27. All right, that tells me right there I need to flip my symbol because I divided by a negative. So my symbol flips, my inequality, and I have n is less than negative 2. So we're going to graph it. We'll put our negative 2. We could put 0. We could put negative 3. Open circle because it's not equal to. N is less than. So like I said, in our last few have all been greater than. So this is a less than. So I'm going to shade to the left or draw my arrow to the left. It's up to you how you want to do that. Just make sure it's very clear which direction it is going. Okay. It says to choose true or false for each statement about the solution. All right, so I can't really answer if any of these are solutions without solving, so let's do that first. I'll have negative 54 is greater than or equal to negative 9 times negative 9 is going to become positive 81, and negative 9 times n, so we have minus 9n. Okay, we're going to have to move things around. We want to get our variable alone, so let's go ahead and subtract 81. Negative 54 minus 81 will give us negative 135. It's greater than or equal to 9n, negative 9n. So now let's divide by negative 9. And we'll get 15 is less than or equal to n, right? So I have to change my sign. So 15 is less than or equal to n. So is 15 a solution? Yes, because it's equal to. Is 0 a solution? Is 0 going to be greater than 15? No. Is 150 a solution? Is 150 greater than 15? Yes. So we're going ahead and we are substituting these numbers in for our variable. So can that number work there? Can that number work there? Can that number work there? So is 150 greater than 15? Yes. Is 0 greater than 15? No. Is 15 greater than or equal to? Yes. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with number 6, just like we practiced last week. Let's go ahead and clear our fraction. So we're going to multiply everything by 4. Negative 12 is greater than or equal to 8 plus x, right? So it basically cancels that out. To continue solving, let's go ahead and subtract 8 from both sides. Negative 12 minus 8 will give us negative 20. So now I have negative 20 is greater than or equal to x, or x is less than or equal to negative 20. So now I'm deciding if these numbers would make a true statement by substituting them in for x. So let's say I said negative 15. Is negative 15 less than or equal to negative 20? Nope. Negative 15 would be greater than negative 20, right? Would 0 be less than or equal to negative 20? Nope. 0 is also greater than negative 20. Is negative 30 less than or equal to negative 20? Yes. Negative 30 is less than negative 20 because it is more left on the number line. That is it for today. Remember that if you are multiplying or dividing by a negative, you need to flip your inequality, okay? And then don't forget to graph your solutions with the correct circle. Remember, greater than and less than are open circle, greater than and less than are closed circles, okay? That's it for today. Please make sure to check with your teacher if you have any questions or you need any extra help.